On today's episode of the Jamaican Cooking Journey, I'm going to be sharing with you how I make my homemade whole wheat tortilla. I love tortillas. I love tortillas, but sometimes I go for the flour ones. I never buy them. I never buy store-bought. Sometimes I go for the flour ones, which is not good for me. I am a person, I have to have fiber in my diet. So at some point I decided that I would try whole wheat tortillas. I did it once, it never came out too bad. In fact, on my Patreon page I have about 3 flour tortillas. I did plain flour, I did turmeric tortilla, and the last one I uploaded was a callaloo infused flour tortilla. Now today on the Jamaican Cooking Journey, I want to share with you how I make my flour tortillas. My whole wheat, so I have in here 1 3/4 cups. I'll try to put it on the screen, slow down the screen, slow down your screen as you go along. I have 1 3/4 cups. In fact, I use 2 cups, so you're going to reserve a little 1/4 cup for rolling out. So 1 3/4 cups of whole wheat flour, the whole wheat of your choice. And remember, whole wheat is the flour with less moisture, and it depends on the brand that you get. I'm not sure if this is such of a good brand, but it's what I always use and it works for me. That is what I get. So one ingredient I don't want you to leave out is a tablespoon of flaxseed powder. Okay, you want to give this a mix with a little spoon. Incorporate the flaxseed powder, the grounded flaxseed, that is. Yeah, so we want to incorporate it, and this is plain all whole wheat flour. Okay, some people use a little plain flour with it. I am not using any. I want to stay away from the plain flour. Now I'm going to add a pinch of salt. That's for me. But a 1/4 teaspoon of salt should be fine. But I'll be adding less than a 1/4 teaspoon. So I'll be adding this right there. This here is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. If it is double acting, mine is double acting, so I use a 1/4. If you're using just normal, you use a 1/2. Okay. To this, I'll add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can add your oil of choice. 2 tablespoons of olive oil right there. Now we're going to slowly mix all these in with a spoon. You're going to need a spoon. You're going to mix these in with a spoon slowly. Not too hard, not too rushy. You want to mix it in with a spoon. Now you want to make a well in your ingredients right there. And you're going to add anywhere from 1/2 cup, 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of water, using it slowly depending on the whole wheat flour. Remember, this is not regular flour, so very hot water. So I'm going to add first about a 1/4 cup right there, and it's very hot, so I continue to use my spoon to mix it in to like a little shaggy dough. Like, I'm gonna mix this in. We still have some dry. You see that we have some dry. Shoot them up that and that. So we want to get all it dry. So we're getting shaggy. Shaggy dough means it's not together. It's not perfectly together. You know? Yeah. You see it forming those lumps? So we'll get another 1/4 cup in. Yep. Very hot, you know, so you got to give it some time. So make your hands be clean. Definitely clean at this point. I think we can go in with our hands. Yes, and it's coming together. You see that? Going in with our hands, and it's coming. It's still a bit warm, so you might want to give it a little. Yeah. You want to get it, not too much of a kneading as per se. You just want to get it together. You see that? I'm just trying to get it together. You see it's together, and it's relatively warm. No, it's still warm. So I want to fold it like this, squeeze it up together, and I'm gonna get my hands washed, and I'll return to put some plastic wrap over this. It's a time for me to get some plastic wrap over the dough. That is to keep the dough moist. And I'll cover with plastic wrap. You can use a damp tea towel, flour sackcloth, any cheesecloth, any clean kitchen towel. You know, damp it though and leave it over it to keep the moisture. Remember, this is whole wheat flour. It doesn't have a lot of moisture. I leave it there on my countertop for half an hour to about 45 minutes. I'll catch you then. So we are back, and I'm gonna remove my plastic. I'm gonna take it's just still warm, just that warm. It's just warm, just a little, just warm a little. So I'll use the same whole wheat flour. You can use some plain white flour, but I'll just use the same whole wheat. Very soft. If you notice, the dough is very soft. So remember, it won't have the gluten as the. So you can cut in small pieces or break in small pieces or break. You can weigh out if you want. Trying to be very accurate, I might have to, as it's homemade, so you know, nothing wrong. You see what I'm saying? It's homemade. So I'll cover these to keep them warm. So right here I have this skillet here. It is really thick. The bottom of it is kind of thick, like almost like a tower. So I'm gonna eat it like that, medium. You can see that. And I'm gonna leave it to get heated whilst we go and roll the first tortilla. And just treat it as I treat a dumpling, a whole wheat dumpling. And I have my whole wheat dumpling that I showed you how to make fry whole wheat dumpling. I showed you how to make cooked whole wheat dumplings. So I'll do that. I'll get some of the flour here, and you can put on your mat, your pastry mat. I do have a pastry mat, but I just opt for this. So you want to gently come now and roll. You're rolling. Don't mind, the first one is always not the most perfect one. So you want to get it all squared up, and you want to roll this out really thin that you can see even your fingers them. I'll show you how. So let me roll out for you. So each time you roll, you turn, you just roll that way. You want to get this as thin as you can. That's the main thing. Don't mind the shape right now. You want to get this as thin as you can. Whilst our pan is preheating right there, we are rolling out it as thin as we can. If you want to have perfect shaping, you can probably use something to have a perfect shape. I don't really care for the shape. So you can have the perfect shape right there. Okay? Really thin, relatively hot, and you want to set it in there. I personally like to brush it as it gets hot with a little olive oil. And you might want to make it stay on until you might see a little bubbles here and there. You see them? A few bubbles coming up in there. That means air is being trapped inside there. And that's what you want. When you see that is happening, you see those bubbles? That means you have done everything right. Remember, it is a little different from the flour tortilla. So you just take a little time with it. You see them bubbles coming up? Yeah. That's what you want to happen. I personally like to brush it with a little olive oil. If you don't want to brush it, you don't have to brush it. We're going to cook it for about a minute on this side as those bubbles come up. And we are going to return when we're ready for turn them. It's that time when I'll be turning. And as I turn, I am going to brush again to show you that the bubbles still remain the same. They come up. You see it's getting aerated right there. I like, some people might spray, but I like to brush. So I cook it for a minute or a little under a minute on each side, and you can cook it until you get them little brown spots coming on. It's up to you. Yeah. You see that? You see them here? Bubbles coming up? Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Remember, this is all wheat flour. All wheat. We're not add no white flour to it. See the bubbles coming up? Yeah. When I put it on this side, I like to put a little pressure on it. This is our first one. You see them brown spots? Out. You put it on your platter, and you want to immediately cover it with something to keep it warm. I'm going to cover it with the hand towel, and then I'm going to use another towel. So I'll use another towel to cover it, keep it on the stove top whilst it keeps warm. I'm going to roll out another one just for you. So this is the piece that you cut, that you left back. You don't waste it. You put it back in there. So you will have a few for tortillas as well for this. Less than 2 cups of flour. We're going to do the same thing, you know, the next patient. At the same treatment. I'll make sure you flour your rolling pin. You know, roll out to your liking. But keep it on the circular. Keep it thin. Okay, don't mind the things that happens here, because this is all wheat. And you know, from time to time, it will just stick for a second one. Doesn't mind that. What you want to do now, you want to clean the skillet from that oil residue. You see that? You don't want to put it in there without you do that. That excess flour that was on there and the oil. You don't want to put it in there. The second one in. And as we put it in, we start putting our little oil on the top right there. Doesn't matter. That little piece at the side. You notice those small bubbles starting to form? Yeah, they start form already. You see them? Show them, Dad, right there. Small bubbles starting to form. Here we go with another. Next step. So cooking fam, here we go with our all whole wheat tortillas. You can see they're very pliable. Let me show you. You see it? You can, you know, make your size. Make your size. Whole wheat tortilla wraps. I told you that I did the callaloo one, but I did it with the plain flour on my Instagram page. So from my kitchen to yours, from my Jamaican kitchen to your family table, to your plate, and most of all, it is your homemade all whole wheat flour tortilla wraps. Please do. Joy. One more thing, you put them, well, I put them in a Ziploc and I store them in my refrigerator for no more than 1 week. Hence, that's why I don't make a lot, because I don't have preservatives in them as the store-bought ones. So I will just put them in a Ziploc, and within 1 week I will use them up, because I'm the only one that eats the whole wheat ones here at home. From time to time I do a little flour tortilla ones, the flour ones too, but I mostly try stick to these, because as I said before, I don't have much luck eating the flour ones. Now and then, not too much. It's not bad, but see that? So you put them in your Ziploc. Yeah. Store them in your refrigerator. Thanks for watching.